Watching this week's episode of Oshi no Ko, man, it was pain. Uh, it's wild because the first half of this episode is like everything you want to see. The manga author, the scriptwriter, they come together, they both they're like, hey, you need this, I do this. It's peaceful. And I think they did that on purpose, man. They make it seem like the drama's gone, only for Aqua to get sideswiped by survivor's guilt. PTSD, the trauma of his mom's death. And I thought it was bad. I was like, okay, he has, the idea of like taking your emotions and acting with them it's what people do. And it sucks, okay, he's thinking of Ai's death. It is what it is. But then they just keep it going. And the fact that they reveal that Akane has actually pieced it together. Now, she can't say for sure, but the fact that he definitely has an ally. Someone who I 100% believes is probably one of the smartest characters in the show, if not the smartest that we've seen, and probably could be the greatest ally he has. But to dig up and unbury those old wounds that you think are kind of like healed. For the anime viewer, it's like the characters aren't real. Like, we're not actually going to lose sleep over any of these characters' deaths. I mean, there's bigger fish to fry in our own world that most likely are going to keep you up. But it can still hurt. But then when you see how much he's hurting, it's like, okay, this sucks. But then it just keeps going and going and going to the point of just an absolute crash out. Like, this episode crashed and burned. Our boy was so bad that he literally went into a coma-induced sleep of just depression, man. And the fact that he burst out her name during that and she was able to piece it like, she is smart. We knew that from the previous season. There was a lot of signs, and I think for many Oshi no Ko fans, it was kind of like, oh, she kind of seems like maybe she'll be the key, potentially, in maybe even finding the murderer. It's entirely possible. But I've always been under the assumption that, like, he would have to tell her, but there's always been this, like, suspicion, like, maybe she could piece stuff together. It's just, like, as soon as the name, because, oh my god, he's traumatized by something. I just was told that something bad happened to him, and it all just... This girl could be Sherlock Holmes if she wanted to be, man. It's... literally the best arc. It's not even up for debate. I have full live reactions over on Patreon if you want to see my full and thought to any of these Oshi no Ko episodes. It's going to be over there exclusively. As much as I want to talk about the amazing development and resolution, seemingly with the whole stage play stuff, that shit's small in comparison to everything that happened after. First things first, we're going to deep dive Aqua's mentality. The best part about this show, and I still stand by this, is the way it explores, breakdown, and criticizes industries, whether idol industries, manga industries, whatever it is, right? That is, in my opinion, the number one. But a very close second is Aqua's mental anguish and what he went through surrounding Ai's death. And the idea that even if you remove the reincarnation angle, right? Like, just imagine Aqua was just a normal boy, right? From the get-go. Like, he was born... didn't have a previous life. The age he was at when she died is such a active mental age that he would remember so freaking much. And when he starts going down the list of I thought it was bad, but once he starts talking about the details, like, he still remembers the smell of, like, the iron in her blood, the sensation of her hand going cold, and I'm just like, oh, this is way worse. Like, I knew it was bad, and I knew he remembered a lot of graphic details, but the fact that his body could remember, that is the worst nightmare. I've been and seen things, like, I've seen decaying animal corpses, man, and, like, in the moment they smell bad, but, like, I can't right now think of how they would smell. So the fact that he was so traumatized that even the smell of her body is something he can relive, it's like, that is pain. And it's such an effective piece of storytelling, because when it first starts happening, when he gets, like, he's actually having a moment of happiness, right? The idea that, okay, what would you do to have, like, a sad emotion? You'd think of your mom dying. Obviously, hits a little too close for home, but, I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is going to be really interesting, because he's struggling to make his big performance his big performance. My assumption is most people would play that scene very sad. For our boy, he's rage-filled. He's on revenge. So I thought him thinking of his mom's death would be this emotion that no one would see coming, because most people would have a sorrow reaction versus I'm going to get revenge and kill reaction. And instead, what happens is he gets swarmed by PTSD. Now, that still could happen, mind you, but I love the idea of it almost like his body refuses to let him have happiness. For him, it's like, you were pathetic. You could have done more. You could have... If you just would have acted differently, she would still be alive, you pathetic weasel. Like, that's how much he hates himself for being alive and her not. And that survivor's guilt is insane. And the idea that it keeps seeping away because he's just thinking of all the things that make him happy. I'm thinking he's going to think of when he was a kid with his little glow sticks. No, it's all his friends and everything he's built in present day. And he's genuinely happy only for Truck-kun to come in and try to isekai this bitch. It's just pure pain, and the directing and everything they went about it was fantastic. And then you add in the eye stuff where she is such a supportive girlfriend, man. Like, the fact that she's just sitting there and she starts piecing everything together. I wasn't sure what her like, I didn't think she was going to be a bad person about, like, realizing, like, who he is. But the fact that she just hugs him and says, basically, you're not alone. I'm here for you no matter whatever my mind, whether that's completely true or completely false, I am here for whatever is causing you pain. You genuinely believe her. And she seems like she's going to be the #1 support, at least for the short term, going forward. Now, as great as all that was, we do have to compliment what they did with the author and the editor. We finally break that barrier of communication, and we basically pretty much have like a Skype call, man. Like they have live editing all night, and the idea that now that there's no game of telephone, the scriptwriter can be like, oh, this is the type of changes you want. Now that I understand that because you're actually telling me directly, I don't have to go through different people. Okay, so I'll try it like this. And she's like, why would you do this? Well, because we have the stage direction. Like, at the end of the day, a manga author is not going to make a good stage play. She literally has to admit this in this episode, that, like, going from, like, maybe eventually she could be, but her first one's going to be shit. So it's like the idea of getting a professional and working with the professional, and the fact that they came to a damn understanding. Sure, the whole damn thing seemingly got changed, but if they pull it off, it will be the best damn stage play known to man. They only got 2 weeks, but, you know, they gotta hustle. I appreciate that what I've been, because I've still had people over the weeks be like, no, the author should just write the whole thing, they'll be better. And it's like, no, they won't. She has literally no experience making a stage play, and it's like saying a manga author should direct a live action movie and they've never picked up a camera. Just, it ain't gonna work out. But as we see, if we remove that barrier of communication, the game of telephone's no longer there, and they both work out and they have respect for each other. She went to one of his plays, he said he's talented, he loves her work. Communication. Communication makes the dream. And what a brilliant 10 out of 10 episode of Oshi no Ko. Thoughts down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we've got Durhosh, Franklin Greenway, Hikari Lounge, Flutchbringer, Gordon Liu, Adol, and So Logiki. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and y'all have a good one.